Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel where we learn research and statistics in simple English. Today we're going to talk about something which is very important for research. It's about hypotheses. Specifically, we're going to explore about null and alternative hypotheses in language research. Let's go step by step so that easy for you to follow, especially if you're studying English as a foreign language. With me, Afif Ikhwanul Muslimin. Before we go further, let's talk about something which is also very important in research. It's about the variables. So in variables, we commonly have two terms which is called as independent and also dependent variable. Now here we have a sample of research title. We have a title, the effect of mind mapping strategy on student reading comprehension score. Then here we're going to decide the independent variable and dependent variable. According to the title, so we can understand that the independent variable is the mind mapping strategy and the dependent variable is reading comprehension score. Then, what is called as independent variable? It is the variable that the researcher manipulates or controls to see if it causes a change. Then what is dependent variable? It is a variable which is measured to see whether it is influenced by the independent variable. So if the variable shows a kind of rising or falling scores or rising or falling in parameter, it's called as dependent variable. We also have another research title which can be used as a sample of analysis. Like the effect of teacher feedback on students' writing performance, we can understand that the independent variable is teacher feedback and the dependent variable is students' writing performance. On the other side, if we have another research title like the relationship between social media use and English-speaking anxiety among university students, we can understand that the independent variable or the variable that can give a kind of correlations or impact to another variable is called as independent variable, and the independent variable of this title is social media use, and the dependent variable is English speaking anxiety. Now let's go to the most important part in this presentation. It's about the hypothesis. So what is hypothesis? It is clear that it is a statement based on the research questions. It helps us to test whether something is true or not. A hypothesis is also a population's parameter, meaning it talks about the number like an average proportions in a large group. For example, students who often watch YouTube speak more fluently than those who don't. So this is an example of hypothesis statement. This statement is testable. We can check if it is true using the data. So a hypothesis makes a claim about the number of parameter. Then, to be more specific, we're going to discuss about null and also alternative hypothesis. So usually we can understand that null hypothesis reflects a meaning of no effect or no difference. Therefore, according to the symbol, so we can see that the symbol shows no difference before and after. And in alternative hypothesis, it is usually understood as something which is showing a kind of effect or difference between the results. So you can see also the symbol there. We usually try to find the evidence to reject the null hypothesis. That's how we support our research claim. If we have a research title like the effect of mind mapping strategy on improving students' reading comprehensions, so we can understand that the null hypothesis mind mapping strategy does not improve students' reading comprehensions. So null hypothesis again remind us that it is about showing something negative or something pessimistic. Then in alternative hypothesis of this title is mind mapping strategy improves students' reading comprehensions. If we have another research title as an example, like the effect of bilingual dictionary use on student vocabulary test score, so we understand that the null hypothesis of this title is that bilingual dictionary use does not affect vocabulary test score. So again, in null hypothesis, we always remember something negative. Then for the alternative hypothesis here, we understand that it shows kind of optimistic or showing a kind of positive effect based on the result of the research. So the alternative hypothesis here is formulated like bilingual dictionary use has an effect on vocabulary test score. Then in research, sometimes we understand that there is also a term like one tail or two tail. So Let's talk about the directions of the effect. Do you expect something to go up, down, or just change? There are two types of tests. One-tail test, you expect the effect to go in one direction. For example, like the score should increase or score will get more in number. The second one, two-tail test, you just expect a difference but not sure if it is higher or lower. So it's good for you to choose based on your research questions. So here I have a kind of practice related to vocabulary test scenario. So the scenario here is a teacher wants to know if using a bilingual dictionary affect vocabulary test score. Of course, based on this scenario, we understand that the independent variable here is the bilingual dictionary use, and the dependent variable here is vocabulary test score. Then, if we are asked to formulate the hypothesis, the null hypothesis of this scenario is using a bilingual dictionary has no effect on vocabulary test score. And the alternative hypothesis of this research scenario is using a bilingual dictionary affects vocabulary test score. Then if we are asked to create our research question, so we can formulate the research question into, does using a bilingual dictionary affect vocabulary test score? Yes, perfect. Since there is no intentions to understand this phenomena to show a kind of rising or falling in the form of direction, so we understand that this research is understood as two-tailed test because we are testing for any significant difference, whether it is higher or lower. Now it's your turn to analyze this scenario. There is a scenario like a researcher wants to find out whether playing English song in a classroom has an impact on students' listening comprehension score. Then the teacher divides the students into two groups. Group A listens to English song and Group B does not. After 2 weeks, both groups take a same listening comprehension test. So it's time for you to discuss about that scenario and find out what are the independent variable, what are the dependent variable, how do you formulate the hypothesis both for null and also alternative, and please decide whether it is one tail or two tail. And that's wrap for today's video and hypothesis language research. Remember, a clear hypothesis guides your research, helps you to collect right data, and gives meaning to your result. Drop a comment below if you want more practice and example. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and classmates. Thank you.